Welcome back to another fascinating exploration into history. Today we're diving deep into the Vikings world, uncovering their communal bathing rituals, dental hygiene, grooming tools, and yes, even their toilet habits. Hold on tight. This is one adventure you won't soon forget.
Get ready to dive into the muck, the mire, and the downright filthy world of the Vikings. This isn't for the faint-hearted.
Vikings, as history often reveals, were a much more cultured and complex society than the brutish marauders we often depict them as. One prime example of this is their bathing rituals. Unlike many of their contemporaries during the Middle Ages, the Norse people took bathing and cleanliness quite seriously. Weekly baths were a standard, a frequency significantly higher than most societies of the time. The Old Norse word for Saturday, lordag, translates to bathing day, further underscoring the importance of cleanliness in their culture. This regular bathing tradition had its roots not just in the need for cleanliness, but also in social and spiritual customs. In a time before the advent of private baths, the Vikings indulged in communal bathing. Natural hot springs were often the chosen location for these group baths, which also served as a community gathering spot. These baths would often have wooden structures built around them to keep in heat and provide a little privacy. Moreover, bathing also held spiritual significance in Viking culture. Tales in Norse mythology speak of alfablot or bathing elves, ethereal creatures who were believed to bless the waters and in turn those who bathed in them. This belief might have encouraged the regular bathing habits of the Vikings. The Vikings were also quite experimental with their bathing rituals. Mud baths were a part of their routine, especially for warriors returning from battle. The mud was thought to soothe aching muscles and heal wounds. Meanwhile, urine baths had a very different purpose. As strange as it sounds to us, urine was believed to possess antiseptic properties, and bathing in it was thought to help with specific skin ailments. Urine was even used in Viking laundries to keep their clothes clean and free from parasites. It's an interesting, if somewhat smelly, testament to Viking ingenuity.
Bathing day, communal baths, bathing elves. Those Vikings really took their cleanliness seriously. As for urine baths and laundry, I'll stick to my modern washing machine, thank you very much.
As we continue our exploration into Viking hygiene, we'll turn our attention to something we all value today, dental care. But let me warn you, the Vikings had their unique, cringe-worthy approach. The Viking diet was harsh and abrasive, often leading to dental issues, but rather than brushing their teeth with minty toothpaste, Vikings used picks made from bone or antler. Now, using a pick isn't inherently bad, but the Vikings took things to an entirely new level. Imagine scraping your teeth, not to clean them, but to carve horizontal grooves into the front teeth. This practice wasn't an accidental result of vigorous cleaning, it was deliberate. These grooves were often filled with pigment, giving a red or black appearance. It's believed that these modifications were a symbol of status or an indication of a person's prowess in battle. A decorated warrior indeed. Moreover, these carvings weren't limited to adults. Even young children had their teeth filed and carved starting at a tender age. If the thought of today's dental procedures makes you squirm, imagine being a child in the Viking era, subjected to such a practice without anesthetic or proper instruments. Archaeologists have found evidence of these carved teeth in Viking burial sites across Scandinavia and parts of the British Isles. They provide a chilling window into an aesthetic practice that, to our modern sensibilities, feels more like a torture ritual than a mark of beauty or valor. Oral health was a significant aspect of a Viking's appearance. They even had specific terms for dental issues. For instance, a mouthful of decay was referred to as skig, which was considered disgraceful, while regular dental care was a mark of status and called tannlauker.
I thought going to the dentist was scary today. The Vikings sure knew how to make a statement. I'll keep my teeth plain and simple, thank you very much.
The Vikings took grooming quite seriously. They often combed their hair using intricately designed bone or antler combs. These combs were not only functional, but were considered works of art, often passed down through generations as family heirlooms. In fact, a high-quality comb was a status symbol in Viking society, signifying wealth and power. Moreover, Vikings carried small grooming kits containing ear spoons for cleaning wax build-up and tweezers for plucking stray hairs. Grooming was not only a part of personal hygiene, but it also played a role in their societal norms and customs. It was customary for a Viking to groom himself thoroughly before any important event or feast. Even the most famous of Vikings, such as the legendary Ragnar Lothbrok, were known to take pride in their well-maintained hair and beards. After all, good grooming was a sign of respectability in Viking society.
Talk about being hair care conscious. I'll never look at my comb the same way again.
If you thought the communal bathing rituals were the height of Viking unseemliness, brace yourselves as we delve into their toilet habits. Let's start with the basics. Vikings didn't have the luxury of flush toilets or even outhouses as we know them today. In many Viking settlements, the garderobe, a simple hole in the ground, was often the place for answering nature's call. But it gets even more unpleasant. In some Viking longhouses, a corner of the room would be designated as the toilet area, separated only by a low partition or no partition at all. The waste would then be collected in a pit right inside the living area. This proximity of the toilet to everyday life was common, and in the harsh winters, going outside might not have been an appealing option. Here's where it gets a bit more detailed and, well, repulsive. Toilet paper was, of course, non-existent, and alternatives had to be found. Leaves, moss, and even smooth stones were commonly used to cleanse oneself. But the strangest part, in some sagas there are mentions of toilet sticks. Shared wooden sticks with a cloth or sponge attached to one end. After use, it would simply be rinsed and left for the next person. Communal indeed. The Vikings' approach to sanitation might seem shockingly unhygienic to us today, but it's worth remembering that these practices were part and parcel of life during those times. Cleanliness and privacy standards were simply different, shaped by the available technology, environment, and cultural norms.
Yikes! I guess the next time I complain about a long line at a public restroom, I'll just be thankful I don't have to share a toilet stick with the guy ahead of me. The Vikings sure had a strong stomach for, communal living.
Thanks for joining us on this truly unique exploration into the world of the Vikings. We hope you found it as enlightening as it was. Unusual. If you've enjoyed the journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
And remember to leave a comment below with your thoughts, or if you have any more historical topics you'd like us to dive into. But maybe let's keep them a little less gross next time. Until then, goodbye, y'all.